Getting an unexpected STI diagnosis, it can really send your mind racing, right? And one of the biggest, most stressful questions that pops up is this.
So let's just dive right in. Let's say you or a partner gets a diagnosis, and immediately your brain starts going, wait a minute, could this have come from somewhere else? You start thinking about, I don't know, a toilet seat, a swimming pool, maybe a damp towel. Is it even possible to get trichomoniasis without any sexual contact at all?
Okay, so the short answer, it's extremely rare. And when I say rare, I mean so rare that doctors don't really even consider it a realistic way to get infected. But that begs the question, right? Where does all this fear and speculation come from? Let's dig into the science.
All right, so if we know it's almost always an STI, why does this myth about non-sexual transmission just stick around? Let's actually break down the science behind all that speculation.
First things first, let's meet the little troublemaker here. Trichomoniasis, or Trich for short, is caused by this tiny, microscopic parasite called Trichomonas vaginalis. It's actually super common, and figuring out how it behaves is really the key to understanding how it spreads.
Okay, so this is where that whole myth really comes from. This tiny parasite can technically survive for a very, very short time in a warm, moist place outside the body. And that's exactly why people start worrying about things like towels and toilet seats. But here's the scientific reality check. There is practically zero reliable evidence of this ever actually leading to an infection in a person. I mean, the conditions would have to be absolutely perfect, and it's not a realistic way people get this.
So if we can pretty much rule out toilet seats, how is it spreading? Let's get really clear on the primary ways Trich is actually passed from person to person. The most important thing to get here is that basically any form of genital contact can transmit the parasite. We're talking direct skin-to-skin contact or the sharing of genital fluids. So yeah, that means it can be passed through different kinds of intercourse, manual stimulation, or even sharing sex toys if they haven't been properly cleaned. At the end of the day, it's that direct contact that really matters.
And this, of course, brings us to what is often the most emotionally charged part of a new diagnosis, especially if you're in what you believe is a long-term, monogamous relationship. It's a completely normal concern, so let's just tackle it head-on.
This is the big one, isn't it? The question that's probably on your mind. If Trich is an STI and you or your partner test positive, does that automatically mean someone is cheated?
And the answer, surprisingly to many, is a firm not necessarily. And it all comes down to one absolutely critical fact. The infection can be completely silent. As Healthline points out, people can have trichomoniasis for months, maybe even longer, without showing a single symptom. You'd have no idea you're infected.
So just think about what that really means for a second. Because it can be asymptomatic for so long, someone could have easily picked it up in a previous relationship and then completely unknowingly passed it to their current partner. A brand new diagnosis does not automatically mean there's been recent infidelity. It's just not that simple.
Okay, so this brings us to a really practical question. If it's so often silent, how in the world would you even know you have it? Let's take a look at what symptoms might appear, and more importantly, how you can get a definite answer.
It's kind of ironic, but the single most common symptom of Trich is having no symptoms at all. Seriously, for a lot of people, the infection is totally silent. Now, when symptoms do show up, they can be really easy to mistake for something else. A little burning, some itching, or changes in discharge. That's why the only way to know for sure is to actually get tested.
And here's some good news. Getting that definitive answer is super straightforward. It's a simple lab test. They'll use either a swab or a urine sample, and that's all it takes to diagnose it.
All right, so let's say you've gotten a diagnosis. What happens now? This is where the news actually gets even better. Let's talk about the clear, effective path forward for both treatment and prevention.
Now, this is probably the most important message of all. Unlike some other STIs, trichomoniasis is completely curable. Yep, you heard that right. It is not something you have to manage for the rest of your life. A simple course of antibiotics can wipe out the infection entirely.
And the treatment process itself, it's really clear-cut. First, you confirm the infection with a test. Then you take the antibiotics your doctor prescribes. But here's the most critical step, and you can't skip this one. All of your current sexual partners have to be treated at the exact same time. If they're not, you just risk passing it back and forth for each other. After that, you just need to wait about a week or so after you finish the medicine before you resume any sexual activity.
So, looking to the future, how do you prevent this? Well, it really comes down to these core strategies.
Using barrier methods like condoms, that dramatically lowers your risk. Regular STI screening, especially when you have new partners, is also super important. But take a look at those last 2 points: open communication and mutual agreements. That's where the real magic happens.
Because really, when you boil it all down, you look at the myths, the facts about transmission, the treatment. What's the single most powerful tool you have for protecting yourself and your partners?
It's this: open communication. Honestly, talking with your partners about sexual history, maybe getting tested together, and just building that culture of trust is more powerful than anything else. It takes the mystery and the blame out of a diagnosis, and it's truly the foundation of a healthy sex life. This isn't just about preventing one infection, it's about building a partnership that's based on real care and respect.